Welcome back to another episode. Today we're going to take a closer look at recent news impacting Nvidia, some cool products that they just announced as well, and we're also going to take a closer look at some news impacting AMD. So let's take a closer look in today's episode.
I want to thank The Motley Fool for sponsoring this video, and check out fool.com/Jose for the 10 best stocks to buy now. With that link, you get a promotional offer for their subscription service. Now, let's continue with today's episode.
So obviously you guys know me, this is the best place you're going to find any form of Nvidia news. And today and yesterday, the company did announce some pretty cool updates to their gaming market. There is kind of a gaming conference happening in Europe right now where we are getting some cool updates here and there. While the gaming market, right, for many investors might not be as interesting as most of the revenue is coming from the data center side, I do believe it's still a very important side of the business, as this is another industry where Nvidia can showcase its AI strength. So it just brings more and more markets where Nvidia can sell either GPUs for the consumer market or sell some form of software or kind of AI solution for developers and other types of creators in the gaming space. So on August 20th, we see that Nvidia and MediaTek team up to bring G-Sync display technologies to more gamers. So to be honest, I could care less about this G-Sync display technology in forms of a stock market investor, but what got my attention is MediaTek. I believe MediaTek and Nvidia have been partnering up a lot lately, and there are rumors that Nvidia and MediaTek are working together to bring kind of like a gamer CPU. So Nvidia is trying to enter the CPU space based on these rumors with MediaTek, and the more and more partnerships I see with Nvidia and MediaTek, I think the higher chance it is of those rumors being true. But that's something we probably won't hear out for at least another 5 to 6 months. Next, I want to take a closer look at an NVIDIA AI solution that got showcased in this kind of game conference. And here, NVIDIA is showcasing its AI solution that brings kind of large language models and conversation to game characters. And I think this is pretty cool. This is probably one of my favorite examples of where AI can be used for gaming. So here in gaming, you usually have NPCs, which are non-playable characters. These are just characters that have been designed to kind of help you throughout your gaming world. And usually they have a very strict static dialogue. Well, Nvidia has brought this very, very small large language model into their devices. So now game creators can kind of add that conversational AI to these characters. So now if you're playing a game, you can be like, hey, can you tell me what's the next mission? Or can you tell me a little bit more of what's going on? And you can have a full conversation. And in my opinion, it does improve the immersiveness and the kind of replayability of the game, because maybe every time I say something different, I might get a different game outcome. So I think this is pretty cool, and Nvidia is showcasing that this type of solution is going to be optimized to run directly on GeForce RTX AI PCs and laptops. So this is another great way where Nvidia can continue to give their consumers a bigger reason to go with Nvidia GPUs opposed to the competitors AMD. Now, I do want to say thank you all for the support that we are getting here on the ebooks. So for those that are not familiar, I have 2 ebooks. One is kind of like an encyclopedia of 50 plus companies and kind of gives you a nice breakdown of what they do. The second is the earnings insight, which cover the current earnings right now. Currently, we have over 37 companies in this insight book, with more added on a weekly basis during this quarter earnings. Remember, Nvidia is expected to report earnings next week. So next week, there will be an updated version with Nvidia. The great thing is if you purchase this, you do get all the updated versions for free. More importantly, if you buy both ebooks, you get $20 off automatically at checkout. So make sure to check it out at moresemiinvesting.com. I promise you will get tons and tons of value with these 2 ebooks. Now, the third thing I have here for Nvidia is on August 21st, Nvidia did release their podcast. So they do have kind of an AI AI podcast that they release. I believe, I'm not sure if it's on a weekly basis, but this week was how Snowflake is unlocking the value of data with large language models. And I wanted to bring this up because if we look at the timestamp, it gives us a great a breakdown of what we're expected to listen to in this podcast. For example, the first 1 minute tells us what the Snowflake does, then how Snowflake AI and data strategies are building a platform with natural large language models. So I thought this was actually a great time to look at this because Snow just reported earnings and we can see the stock is down roughly 10%, sitting at 8%, sitting at $124, one of the lowest prices it's been in a while, right? The 52-week low was $107. So I haven't listened to this podcast, but I wanted to bring it up to you, the viewers, because if you might be curious about Snowflake, I think this podcast, which is about 32 minutes long, can probably give you a lot of insight of that market, and probably can even give you a reason to maybe dive a little bit deeper into Snowflake, or to skip it out and look at other companies instead. Now, staying here with Nvidia, there were reports on August 21st that an Indonesian IT service management company called Lintasarta has launched an AI cloud service called GPU Merdeka. And this is kind of a GPU as a service company, which will help with sovereign AI. And right now it is building data centers using Nvidia chips. So I think this kind of showcases that strength of Nvidia's sovereign AI, as nations are building lots of AI solutions. And not only that, you are getting kind of these sovereign AI clouding server providers as well, that is opening up a new market and a new demand for Nvidia AI chips. Now, staying here with Nvidia, there are reports and study data from a company called Lifter Insight that analyzes that right now running roughly 2,000 Nvidia GPUs, 1,000 H100 and 1,000 A100s could cost roughly $2 million in power annually. So this is pretty interesting, and these are based on Texas numbers. I'm not familiar with what their energy costs are, but it does kind of showcase right now that, hey, look, right now in the AI space, in the chip market, one thing that needs to improve is power efficiency. And some of you guys might be wondering, hey, Jose, aren't the new chips that they're building require even more and more power? And while that is the case, their performance is increasing at a faster level than power increase, and that's why power efficiency is a lot better. So maybe, for example, I'm just throwing a random number, back then to run something you might have needed like 2 or 3 H100s. Now with the new Blackwell, you might only need 1. So while that one Blackwell needs more power than 1 H100, it's able to do the same compute power as 3 H100s. Again, those numbers are not necessarily true, but it just showcases how power efficiency works. So sometimes I hear a lot of misconception that just because the chips themselves are getting hotter, it's bad news for these companies. But no, we have to remember how the power to performance ratio is improving. Next, I want to take a closer look at Alibaba. Alibaba just recently reported its Q2 earnings. For those not familiar, Alibaba is a huge Chinese company. They also do have their own clouding segment, and their clouding segment is seeing nice growth. They mentioned that for the second half, Alibaba Cloud will see double-digit growth in the second half of 2024, with much of that driven by AI products, mentioned the CEO of Alibaba. He goes on to say that there's very, very robust demand among their customers for AI and AI-relevant products, with demand still being far from being satisfied. So while obviously this doesn't really impact Nvidia, because we know Nvidia's data center market is not that big in China due to regulations, I believe it just kind of showcases how globally there is this huge appetite for AI. We see it here in North America, we're seeing it there in China, and we're most likely seeing these same results all over the world. Now, the final news I have here is for AMD and Intel. So AMD and Intel are both going in opposite directions. We can see year to date, AMD is up roughly 13.8%, and I believe this stock can go much higher. Intel year to date is down nearly 55%. Well, there are reports that Intel's CPU market share drops down drastically in Korean do-it-yourself market, and AMD's Ryzen CPUs are filling in the gap. So this is a very, very small market. The do-it-yourself market is already very small, but now we're looking at the Korean do-it-yourself market, and it's obviously a smaller sub-segment there. But overall, we can see that the sentiment right now is that AMD continues to gain market share in the client side from Intel. And obviously that's not great news for Intel, as we have heard a lot of negative reports about some of the instability in their CPUs. And obviously from AMD, great news, because we have continued to heard that positive results about their upcoming CPU products, and their previous CPU products continue to grab market share. So that's all I have for today's episode. I might cover some more in later episodes, and I'm also thinking about doing live streams during the week. Let me know what you guys think about live streams, maybe a 30-minute Q&A session and me just looking around semiconductor stuff. If you like that idea, let me know in the comments below. So take care, have a good day, and see you next time.